Kagain stepped into his arming chamber, a standard 6 by 6 meter square given to all Tears of Baal, regardless of rank. He crossed the room and laid his bolt rifle down on his private workbench. Next, he turned to his left and walked over to the wall where his armor was hanging on its rack. He only gave it a cursory glance for now. The rites and appeasement of its machine spirit were already complete. What he needed to ensure was the safety of the object resting next to it on its purpose-built stand. His duty, the Third Company's banner. The force field surrounding it created a weak distortion of the skull and swirling blood drop symbol of his chapter. The ancient Terran numeral for 3 wavered from the same source as well. He looked it over, proud of his work. The battle damage from a recent engagement, bullet holes, burn marks, and scoring from alien weaponry had been repaired by his hand to its former glory. He knew of no other chapters where their bannermen performed this task themselves, thinking it suitable work for a servitor. Kagain was glad the Tears thought differently. Though he did not relish the hours spent mending, repainting, and restoring the banner, he found that it meant even more to him when he carried it in battle, treating it nearly as he would a fellow Marine. It was strange, he knew, to put human qualities on an inanimate object, but he had also seen the effect the standard could have on friend and foe, and knew not to discount it. He spoke aloud to the servitor crouched in its recessed charging station.
Were there any intruders while I was away?
Only Lord Jansen, my liege,
came the gurgling words from the Vox grill. It was a pointless question, really a formality. Kagain had known the answer before requesting it. However, when it came to the security of the banner, he followed protocol to the letter. Brother Techmarine Jansen had come at his behest. Returning to the workbench, its surface raised to a height suitable for standing work, he began the rituals required for the maintenance of his holy weapon. Reciting simple incantations taught to all Astartes, he lit the proper incense and spread jars of holy oils and unguents before him. Following his hypno-conditioning, he depressed the release for the magazine and cleared the weapon. He wiped the magazine down with a rag and proceeded to do the same with several others from his belt, all empty from 2 hours of range practice, and placed them on a nearby rack. He popped out the pin which held the upper and lower receivers together, allowing the weapon to hinge into an upside-down V. With reverence, he placed it on a cleaning stand and got to work. As he swabbed a metal cleaning rod through the barrel with practiced skill, his thoughts drifted to the past, to Baal, and his induction into the chapter. Kagain had of course arrived with the Lord Commander in the Indomitus Crusade during the Blood Angel's darkest hours. There was little to tell of his exploits. As far as he was concerned, they had arrived late. No, it was the brotherhood within a brotherhood that he had discovered on Baal Secundus specifically, one that he was automatically inducted into and from which there was no escape. He and his fellows of the Unnumbered Sons always knew there were differences between them. The Astartes were of different temperament and complexion based on their gene seed, but what had been kept from them, or worse was unknown, were the deeper flaws hidden in the minuscule strands of their DNA. On Baal Secundus, where the majority of the Tears ground forces had been deployed by the command of the Blood Angels chapter master Dante, he had seen raving mad Astartes murdering without thought or care, hardly different from the demons encountered by others on the primary moon. Amidst this, the Tears had welcomed the reinforcements like him, but guardedly at first. He wafted incense over the charging handle as he pulled it back with the other hand, removing the bolt group. With prescribed motions, he disassembled the mechanism and placed each piece in consecrated solvent, taking special care with the firing pin. He remembered being questioned thoroughly, but in a roundabout way, alongside his brothers assigned by the Lord Commander to the Tears. At the time he did not know, could not know, but the Tears were trying to determine if they knew about the flaw and if it was present in this new breed of Space Marine. Kagain had faced Guardian Keldorn, the countenance behind the skull mask inscrutable, during one such interrogation when he realized what the bewildering lines of questioning implied. He was fated to become one of the lost Marines he had witnessed on the second moon. Before these incidents, he thought that the heaving rage just beneath the surface was present in all Astartes, regardless of primogeniture, a gift from the Emperor, so they might better serve. This was not at all the case. The Indominus Crusade was not exactly a lie. They saved more planets and people than he could remember, and the Lord Commander was masterful beyond anything he thought possible. But nonetheless, the Crusade was still a fiction. It was a facade of power in the face of enemies that could not even be counted, much less countered and defeated through strategic use of arms, especially when many of their greatest warriors carried within them the seeds of their own destruction. Were the sons of Sanguinius the only ones to carry such a burden? Would his former comrades sent to other chapters even tell him if they knew the answer? A few of his blood angel-derived brothers agreed with him, but most thought it an insult to the avenging son and a lack of faith in the Emperor. Did he lack faith? If faith meant seeing an end to this violence and a reclamation of the galaxy for mankind and mankind alone, then perhaps he did. The solvent bubbled softly as it cleansed the holy metals, and Kagain moved on to the buffer. He absently spoke to the servitor, instructing it to bring him the new spring Techmarine Jansen had delivered. He had worn this one out, and the extra kick threw off his aim when he fired one-handed. The Tears had been decimated defending Baal, as had most of the successor chapters that rallied to Dante's call, not least because they were a fleet-based chapter. The Void War had been lost, and the chapter suffered severe casualties, both human and material. They were rebuilding quickly, but there were precious few of the original chapter left, mostly command cadre and members of the First and Death Companies. Kagain had initially been insulted by the questioning and seeming lack of respect from Guardian Keldorn during his interrogation. Despite this, he vowed to seek the veteran out at every opportunity to learn the chapter's history and customs. He had even broken an unspoken rule and asked to be present at a ritual that was not his own. Strangely, the Guardian and Keeper both acquiesced, and it was there that he saw what it truly meant to be descended from the Ninth. None of the Marines he knew that were called to the ritual showed any symptoms, but none ever hesitated when summoned. Except one. He supposed this was good. The Soul Warden was vigilant, hushed rumors concerning the former Angel's Witness aside. He trusted the librarians and admired their intensity, truly a breed apart even from other transhumans. Despite this, he did not look forward to his turn holding the knife and cup. His rage was his ally. For now. And there remained also the issue of greatest import, the eventual resurrection of the Primarch Sanguinius. This belief was at the heart of the chapter, and all were sworn to silence on the issue. It had taken the Tears months to indoctrinate the reinforcements from the Indominus Crusade into this secret, though clearly they had passed some unknown vetting process. Kagain wasn't sure how he felt about his soul fusing with the Primarch upon death. It would be an honor beyond anything he could hope for, but was such a thing even possible? He didn't know. Maybe. The ways of the warp were not his purview, and Primarchs were not beings easily erased. The Marines born and raised in the chapter seemed to have no trouble with this doctrine. Nothing in Kagain's own conditioning directly contradicted it, but coming in from the outside brought a different perspective. He pulled the machine parts from the solvent and wiped the excess off with a rag. Reassembled, Kagain pushed the bolt group and charging handle back in together until the mechanism clicked and locked into place. He reached without looking and plucked the new spring from the servitor's pallid hand, absently dismissing it and noting when it merged again with the wall. He tested the resistance of the spring between his fingers. Perfect. He replaced the buffer, lifting the weapon off the cleaning rack and locking the receivers together again with a metallic clunk. He and his fellows that joined the Tears after the Blood Angel's homeworld was rid of the Tyranid and demon threats varied in their reaction to the flaw. Most seemed to pretend it didn't exist or didn't pertain to them, while many others sobered with the knowledge. A notable few anticipated it. That was until the first of their number was summoned. It had taken time, a few years of fighting and campaigns. At first the Marine in question had refused to go, citing no symptoms or loss of control. Guardian Keldorn, Angel's Witness Sarabak, and the Soul Warden himself with an honor guard of veterans, all original Tears of Baal stock, came and bodily dragged him away. He was not seen for 2 days. When he returned, he would not speak of what had occurred, only that their kind was not immune to the flaw. Kagain had taken this to heart and made it his mission, in addition to his assiduous study of the chapter's history, to learn about it, and had actively sought information concerning the flaw. Perhaps that was why the Guardian had nominated him to carry the company's standard into battle. Even though years had now passed since their initial encounters, this show of trust came as a surprise to Kagain. He finished his prayers and wiped the outside of the bolt rifle with oil, its battleware somehow accentuating its new shine. He walked back over to the armor rack and hung the rifle from a pin in the wall by its leather strap. At that moment, an alarm chimed.
1 hour until translation to real space.
Kagain spoke a command word to the servitor and it clunked out of its charger. The near mindless, failed aspirant began placing, piece by piece, the ceramite plate onto the standard bearer's body. As he let the servitor do its work, Kagain realized that he understood Keldorn's decision better now. Only those steeped in the knowledge of why the flaw must be tolerated, no matter the cost, could be trusted to rally the chapter and act as a symbol of defiance in the face of their enemies. Blind rage, or worse, doubt, would certainly doom them all. The ritual was a necessary evil, and despite its barbarity, the alternative was unthinkable. Reckless slaughter without even the semblance of control, and the eventual dissolution of the chapter. The last section of armor clamped into place, and again the servitor folded back into the wall. Kagain donned his helm and allowed the gene lock on the force field generator to sample his blood. The shimmering barrier dropped, and the banner fluttered for a brief moment in the energy backwash. He grasped the solid metal pole and lifted it from the stand, gazing into the Tears emblem. Guardian Keldorn had chosen well. His last thought before exiting the chamber and moving to the embarkation decks was how strange it was that knowing his chapter's goals were flawed and its ideals were imperfect, perhaps fatally so, made him want to fight all the harder for them.